Hello, welcome back to the Ty Ribbon Productions Film Chat. And today's topic that I'm probably going to be brief on, but I want to get into is streaming services and theatrical releases. Can they coexist? And the answer is yes, they can, and they kind of always have. So, I want to get into that. A couple things I have here. I mean, streaming services and theatrical can exist. It has always existed in the space where probably since the 80s is when VHSs came out and home entertainment was available, because before that all you had to do was just go to the movie theater to see it. Um, Once the VHS released in the 80s, DVDs were released in the 90s and reached its popularity in the 2000s. And then you had Blu-ray, and there was a thing called HDD disc. It's weird. I know it's weird, but mostly Blu-rays came mostly in fruition in the late 2000s, but early 2010s. Um, they can always coexist. They always have coexist because you have people wanting to go to the movie theaters for their for that theatrical sort of communal cultural existence and experience, and that's always big. Seeing a movie in the theater is totally different from seeing a movie at your house, and if you want to do either one, that's okay. It's really just up to you exactly what you guys want to do. It's up to you. It's never been one or the other. One of the reasons why it's never been one or the other is that it helps each other out. I mean, today we're just in the age of everything is streaming. There's multiple streaming services. There's multiple movies released by those streaming services, and those are owned by the major studios. And the major studios that put out the movies that are in the theatrical space, they eventually end up on those streaming services, and that helps everything. It's like a big ecosystem, and a lot of people, for whatever reason, probably don't understand that, even though they've experienced that. I think COVID kind of lied to us in terms of, hey, the theatrical experience is dead, but it was not. It was just delayed, obviously, because of COVID. And then we started paying attention more to what was going on in the streaming services, even though it was already big, and you had things come out that were pretty high profile, and it was the only thing that was new. But since then, since 2021, probably 2022 is when it really kicked into gear, where you had theatrical releases and streaming services kind of coexist. Because I think once people were comfortable going back to the movie theaters and everything that was delayed, that was released in like 2021, it was slowly but surely kicking up. And I think 2022 really just proved that more so, with movies like Top Gun Maverick and Avatar: Way of the Water, the second one. I don't care that much about Avatar, but it's not about my opinion. Actually, isn't that bad? It's not that bad. It's not that bad. It's good. It's good. But movies like that really got us to get in the comfortable space going to the movies again. And it's been like that ever since then. The difference now with streaming services as opposed to what it was in the past with VHS and DVD is, back then, if you had a movie that went to straight to DVD, it was like, oh, that movie's probably trash. It's not very good. And the quality of the films on the streaming services can range, but I would probably have to agree, comparatively to what it was, for the straight to DVD era, it's gotten much better. These streaming services are, having bigger budgets and sort of acquiring bigger filmmakers, bigger name talent, and therefore you have some of the quality of the projects being much better, to the point where they compete in the awards circuit, and they are kind of just like every other film in terms of like what we expect from like award quality films, or just films in general. Some that we would probably see in the theaters. And sometimes the even kind of bigger thing that's almost better is that you can have something that is mainly streaming, but you can have a limited release run and release it theatrically and collect money that way too. I know Netflix does that sometimes, especially for award seasons or just bigger movies, where they'll have a window of like a theatrical release, like a 2 week run, where they'll have the movie for theatrical release if you want to experience it that way. And then they could also access it on Netflix. Um, I know movies like Glass Onion, Knives Out did that. They'll probably do it with the Knives Out sequel coming out in the wintertime. And that that seems to be a good strategy too. MGM Studios was acquired by Amazon, so Amazon MGM Studios, as they are now, you have their movies on Prime, but you know they've even switched to a theatrical release, and then have that to kind of buffer their Amazon Prime library. Just another example of how they can coexist. What it really comes down to is experience. Like most people just want to have that enjoyment of going to the movies, experiencing something new, experiencing it with an audience. And yes, you can watch movies from your home, and that's the norm, especially if you have a good setup at home. And there's different ways people consume movies nowadays, which I probably would recommend doing it on a big TV or in the theaters. That's just my personal opinion. And I'm a little bit of a traditionalist. I like to have a collection of DVDs and stuff like that. That's just me. But I know I watch everything on streaming services, just like everything else. But like I said, it comes down to experience. Theatrically, people want to have that experience. It's something that's just not something you can get at home. Yeah, I mean, that's just kind of my thoughts about that. Um, Theatrical releases, they're not dead. They'll be here as long as people want to go to the movies. That will always be a staple of how people consume film and experiences like that. So, can it exist with streaming? Absolutely. Nowadays, it's gotten to the point where there's just way too much to choose from in terms of your streaming services. You have Netflix, you have Amazon Prime, you have Disney Plus, you have HBO Max, and then Hulu, and I don't know who has Apple TV, but I'm sure people do. Their content is pretty good. But even Apple has linked up with the big studios to have those theatrical releases, like F1 that just came out, like Killers of the Flower Moon, Napoleon, so on and so forth. So they do that to buffer their streaming service and their quality of libraries and Title II. So everything coexists. That's really the point I'm making, is everything can coexist. So it's not really an argument per se. It's just an observation, a tidbit. So yeah, theatrical and streaming can coexist. That's that. Those are my thoughts on that. So stay tuned for the next topic on our film chat. And if you have any questions or concerns, feel free to follow the channel. Feel free to, I guess, ask me. And I'll see you in the next video.